Yo, what's up, everybody? How's it going? Marcos Villegas, Fight Up TV. Welcome to another edition of this Fight Up TV live chat, live and in living color. Coming to you today, November 5th. Remember, the 5th of November. It is election day, so I hope, regardless of where you are on the political spectrum here in the United States, and if you are listening to us here in the United States, make sure to go out and vote and cast your ballot to whoever you feel aligns with your values, whoever you think is going to improve your financial situation. Oh man, today is going to be an interesting day. That is for sure. These elections the last few years since 2016 have just been crazy. It's been emotional roller coasters. Just interesting time. You know, there was a saying when, because before I switched my major in college, I took a bunch of AP government courses in high school. And even when I started college, I chose my major to be political science. And then, eventually I decided against that because I thought the analytical part of like the poll taken and all that, one was flawed, but two was very, very boring. It just couldn't capture my attention. And like me as a person, like I got to be really passionate about something because I lose interest in it like really, really fast. And it's I don't know if it's like a borderline ADHD type thing that I have, or it's just like, hey, I only care about things that I'm passionate about, and if I'm not passionate about it, I'm not going to really give much time to it. But now, with that, there's always been a thing, and this is the thing I'm going to say about this, about today and just elections in general. Because, we all have our opinions. At the end of the day, if you're from America, we're all Americans. And just by my years of traveling, though I wish I traveled a lot more when I was younger, but even when traveling, I noticed that, at the core of everything, we all want the same things. We want opportunities for ourselves. We want opportunities for our families. We want to be happy. We all want to love and provide for our family and for our children. So, even though, and this is the part of politics I hate so much with the passion, because they use fear mongering and they try to sow division amongst, if you're Republican or Democrat. And don't even get me started on that other part, that the whole two-party system is, the people are so much more complex in their views, in their values, that a two-party system doesn't really reflect or give me a choice, or give Americans a choice of who they want to represent them. But with that, the politics just is meant to sew people apart at times, and it just makes me so angry. That it has the power to do that. But in terms of this topic, and I'm going to leave it at that so we can go and chat with Boxing Chat. Say what's up, hit the like, subscribe. This is Marcos Villegas. What's up? But all I'll say is this. Regardless of who you vote for, they're not going to change your lives, okay? At the end of the day, the only person that is going to improve your life, the only person that's going to change your life, change your fortunes, make it so all your dreams come true, all your goals come true. The only person that's going to do that for you is not a presidential candidate. It's you. You are in charge of your own fate. Make the small decisions every day so that eventually you meet your goals, and write down your goals. Because at the end of the day, it's you. I'm very, I've never been one to believe in fate. And it comes down to an argument. I can go right now and knock over, a piece of furniture. I can go outside right now and break a window if I want. And a lot of people would say, "Well, Marcos, that's written already." I'm like, no, it's not. I made a choice. I have free will. And I've always had a hard time reconciling that train of thought, like that there's fate, that we're all meant for whatever lives we're living. That's what we're meant. And it's like, well, dude, like that means there's millions, billions of us that are living in mediocrity. Like that's what's meant for me. Like I'm supposed to sit here and be okay with that? No, no. I'm in charge of my own fate. I'm in charge of creating a world that I want to live in based on my choices. And ultimately, it all comes down to me. And what I'm saying, it all comes down to you. You're the one that's going to make your life better. Invest in yourself, educate yourself, learn new skills, step outside of your comfort zone, change it up, watch the money pile up. As I think I think it was Kanye said that one time, even though I got some issues with that guy, that's for sure. All right. Now that one last thing on that. Really, the things that do matter are things at the county and state level. So I feel us as a voter base should really pay more attention to that, to the propositions, to the local laws that are being in place. And I feel that's more consequential to how you're living your life in the communities that you're in. So with that being said, just go out and vote, participate in this continuing American experiment that we have in our country. And, for all the problems that America has, and I stand with conviction on this, and I'm not afraid to say it. And I wasn't afraid to say it even in time where it was unpopular to say this many years ago. And I've said it to many, many people abroad as well that have brought this up. And, you may disagree with me, but I still believe America is the greatest freaking country on this earth. And I can go into it for a variety of reasons, but it's the only country that I know of that you don't need to know the language to be successful. And it's the only country in the world where my parents can come here with nothing and make themselves into something. And in a generation, have whoever their kin is be successful. And for that, that's a beautiful thing that America provides the people here. All right. Let's move on, man. Over the weekend, Floyd Schofield, the young Floyd Schofield, having a tough test against Rene Tellez Giron. Now, I mentioned last week, guys, I've seen this guy fight in person, Rene Tellez Giron, okay? He's always going to be a handful for anyone that steps in the ring with him. And yes, he's seen better days. He's not what he was a few years ago. I'll tell you a little story about this guy. It's just an interesting story. But, regardless of how Schofield looked in the fight, yes, he's young. He's still learning. He's still a project in the making. There's a lot of things that he needs to improve on, does Floyd, for him, in the eyes of fans, to be ready to be in the conversation with the Devin Haneys, the Shakur Stevensons, the Tank Davises. But this dude is tough, was tough, and he showed his grit in Rene Tellez Giron. He fought Carlos Balderas a few years back, I believe in Ontario. I want to say on the Charlo Harrison card. And man, it's funny, I just saw a clip of Tony Harrison and Charlo going back and forth. That was hilarious. Like that build up to that fight. Harris in the rematch coming out with the WBC belt, it being backwards and he playing it like a guitar, like NWO style. That's what I got. I thought, oh, dude, he's like Hulk Hogan here when he had the WCW belt, playing guitar with it. But Rene Tellez Giron upsetted Carlos Balderas, who was at that time undefeated, was seen as a red hot prospect, a potential burgeoning star at that point, and he put it on him. This guy's a tricky guy. As you've seen in that fight with Schofield, he comes forward, durable chin. He could take it and he could dish it. And I was told by a trainer many, many years ago, there's just some guys you can't knock out, bro. Like you just can't, and you have to adjust your game plan for those guys, because they're going to be able to take it and take it and take it and keep coming forward and keep throwing at you. this is what that guy is. And it's like, you can't let that get in the way of your plan. You have to adjust. But Giron knocked down Balderas and got the win. I believe it was a count out. This happened many years ago in chat. If you guys can help me with that, let me know how long ago it was. I think it was like maybe 4 years ago. If anybody wants to go ahead and pull up the box rec or the Wikipedia for that. But, the upset happens and Balderas goes to his locker room in Ontario. This was at the Toyota Center. And at that time, I was working for Fox. I was scoring the fights for PBC on Fox. So I had the proper passes to go backstage. And I remember I went into the locker room and I saw Carlos. And this guy, Carlos, good kid, man. His family is very nice as well, him and his dad, Zenon, and his brother. But I remember Carlos was just distraught after this loss, and I've seen it with many fighters that have experienced their first loss. Like, it's just so many emotions going at them at 1,000 miles an hour, and then compounded with self-doubt and questioning yourselves. And, I remember he was there, he's crying in the locker room. And, I told him, like, look, this is where your career starts, is now, is how you bounce back. Everybody loses, bro. Everybody. And I showed him a clip of this speech that Chris Eubank Sr. spoke about, beating that he got, and how that beating, that fight, and I forget what fight it was, where he was all pelted up in the face. But that beating and him having survived that beating in that fight meant more to him than winning a world title, because to him it was like a badge of honor, showing that he could take it and that he was able to overcome and continue and be successful. And I showed that to him, and I said, yo, like, this is where your career starts now. You got to show everybody what you're made of. You got to show yourself what you're made of and how you could bounce back from here. Juan Manuel Marquez, Bernard Hopkins, they all started with, I think Marquez, his debut was a loss. Hopkins, I'm not sure, but I know he got one very early on in his career. But, when I told him that, I gave him a big hug and then went outside. And then I remember, like, hey, this Rene Tellez Giron kid, this guy's going to be a pretty solid fighter, going to be pretty good. So when people were writing him off or, speaking about, hey, who is this guy? I thought, like, this is going to be a hard fight for Floyd Schofield. This is going to be a tough fight. Giron gives everybody a tough fight, regardless if he's outgunned, outmanned. His grit, his determination, his will is going to always keep him in the fight. With that being said, it is okay. How he has a lot to work on, that's for sure. Okay, Schofield's always reminded me of like a Sean Porter type. He's aggressive, he's athletic, has a lot of heart, good work rate, good conditioning. He leaves himself open though to get countered. And I know his father was really getting into him, like, hey, box, use your jab, and a few things there. Just observation. I could be wrong. This is my observation. All right. I haven't had a chance to speak to the young Schofield. I haven't had a chance to speak to his father as well. But watching the fight, and many are saying, like, hey, why is he not listening to his dad? What is he doing? Questioning if he's coachable. I sat there thinking, it could be a thing. Floyd's young. He's a young kid. He's like 21, 22, right? It could be a thing that, like, and at that age, you want to show, like, yo, I could bang out with this dude. Like, you're going to bang out? F it. Let's go. Let's bang it out, And I felt maybe there might have been a little bit of that, a little bit of pride in there. Like, hey, even though Schofield's not a hit and miss, hit and don't get hit type of fighter. He's not a cutesy slickster in there. Like, his type of fight is in there on the inside to outwork you, to land his power punches. But, I just felt that maybe there might have been a part of that where the machismo creeping in. And I see a thing. All of a sudden, Marcos knew it was going to be a tough fight. Bro, I had seen, like, did you not listen to the last 5 freaking minutes that I was just talking about, bro? About how I saw Rene Tellez Giron upset Carlos Balderas years ago. Come on, guy. Come on. All right. You know, with that said, like I mentioned, some guys you just can't knock out. I think a lot of the pride machismo played into that performance. You know, Schofield in this current incarnation of himself, he's not a cutesy hit and move fighter like I was saying. Like, you're not going to change him into that. That's not how he is as a fighter. That's not his makeup. Okay. Over time, can he develop and include these things in his arsenal? Of course. And I hope that's what they're aiming for and working towards with him. I actually would think it would be a good idea to seek the counsel of Sean Porter, given, to me, observing, their style is very similar. And I think Sean, given that style, knew how to be efficient and effective with that style, could really help Schofield in those areas where Sean could see, hey, you know, I used to do this. This is how you correct this. And then they start adding little things there. He has a lot of things to button up. But he has heart, he has grit, he has will, and those are the things that I like to see in Schofield. I'll play the scrum that he put on, where people asked him, like, hey, are you ready for this fight? Are you ready for that? And he said, yeah, I'm ready. I think even in the post fight, when the DAZN interviewed him, he said he was ready. You know, skill wise, he might not be at that level yet to be able to beat a Haney, a Tank, a Shakur. Would he be able to compete with them? Yeah, he would. But I think mentally, and that's the most important part, mentally, the confidence, he's there. And that's the part where I'm like, that's a good sign. He's there here, you know. Will and grit and heart could bridge the gap on many occasions, on a talent gap, to make it competitive for you. But, you know, he can't be as open on the inside. He has a lot of things to work on and improve. He's very young, loads up on his punches. He drops his hands sometimes. But like I said, he's a young kid. They just need to take their time a little bit, get more developmental fights for him. I feel that with 5 or 6 more fights, he's going to be very, very solid. And in that time, just work on these things so that when that opportunity comes, they'll be ready. Even though I feel, given his ranking, given this fight, he's going to be boxed in a little bit, where they're not going to have that time. That time's not going to be of the luxury. And I've explained this before too. Like, when you're met with an opportunity financially in boxing, 9 out of 10 managers are just going to take the money, take the fight, because they're going to say, like, look, when are you going to get an opportunity to get this type of money? Okay, anything can happen in the fight. Yes, we can go ahead and take other fights, but what happens if you lose? What happens if you get cut? What happens if you get hurt? Anything can happen in the ring. So why not take that opportunity, take that big payday, and worry about what comes after? Go fight a good fight. Whatever happens, happens. If you lose, as long as you lost well, you'll have more opportunities. I can see that as a manager. That is a valid thought process and a valid thing to bring up when an opportunity like that is brought to a young fighter. Now, is it the right? Well, I don't know. Depends. You know, as a manager, I think your prerogative is to make your fighter as much money as you possibly can. As the promoter, the same thing. Make your fighter in the biggest fights to make as much money as you can for your fighter and for your company. As the trainer, as the father, as the team, I think your priority is that, but also too, you got to put into perspective, hey, I wait a little bit. This opportunity, this fight is more winnable. We'll win this fight. It opens up for potentially more money. Sometimes they're quick to jump the gun, and sometimes I feel They're not thinking about the long term. But I just mentioned as to why, and it's very valid. But we'll see what happens. I believe he's ranked number 2 now in the WBA. So I'm going to go ahead and play a little video here, guys, with Floyd Schofield and his father after the fight. Our cameras had a chance to catch up with him. Let's go ahead and play. Let me see. Let me set this up right so that it comes out correctly. Here we go.
Floyd, what do you feel like you learned in there, you know, in going up 12 rounds against a veteran like that from Mexico?
Today I learned that, you know, you're not going to get the knockout every time. You know, I wasn't really disappointed. I got the knockout.
See, that's good. He's already acknowledging this at 21, and I'm sure he's heard this in the gym many, many times. Like, I've heard it in the gym. There's just some guys you can't knock out. Adjust. Don't load up. Fight your game.
You know, I went to 12 rounds for the first time, and it felt really good.
You know, on the inside, you throw some combinations that we don't see a lot these days. You know, 7, 8, 9 punches. But is the defense in that range, in the pocket, does that gotta get shored up too when you go back and watch the tape?
A little bit. You know, I just tried to, you know, bang it out with him. You know, he had the shorter reach. You know, that wasn't really the smartest thing. You know, my dad in the corner would tell me just go back to the jab. But, you know, after I got rocked with that shot to the back of the head, you know, I just wanted to bang it out and show I was fine.
Were you ever hurt in there?
Yeah, that was the pride thing that I was alluding to. I had a sneaky feeling that's why. Like, granted, like who he is as a fighter, he's an inside fighter. He likes, that's his game, is fighting on the inside.
Nah, I wouldn't necessarily hurt, but the rabbit punch really, you know, it's hard to describe.
Yeah, he was hurt at one point and dropped in the fight as well. I know Shakur and Tank were highly active on Twitter during and after the fight with what happened in the performance from Schofield.
It's hard to describe, but you feel it. Like, everything is bright and whatnot, but I wouldn't say I was hurt. I got up, banged it out.
I know a lot of guys want that flashy knockout, but do you think a fight like this benefits you more in the long term given the learning experience you got today?
Yes, a fight like this, definitely, because not only was it my first 12-round fight, it was my first 12-round fighter against a guy with power and a guy that, you know, I couldn't get out of there. So I feel like I would rather have this type of fight because, you know, it's a learning lesson rather than a knockout. And, you know, who knows, I go into the next fight, I didn't learn anything, you know.
For sure. The familiar face, Shakur, he was live tweeting throughout your fight, so how soon do you want to fight like that?
Soon.
Yeah,
Next.
very soon.
Next. I hope now that he showed he's vulnerable, it will give him courage to step in the ring.
Yeah.
So
but
I hope that's what happens.
In my opinion, Shakur don't got no power like Rene, so I'm ready.
Yeah, he doesn't have any power, but like Shakur's a master boxer, master technician, and he's faced styles like that. Like, look at the what's the fight? Man, where he hurt his hand. Who was that against? De Los Santos, I believe. You know how he's able to control De Los Santos just with a hand. Yeah, you know, people gave him ish about how boring that fight was, but like, to me, I looked at it as like, damn, Shakur is this good that he basically beat this guy with one hand. Like, what the heck? Like, yeah. Like many pundits, they feel like, hey, you know, maybe get a few more fights before stepping in the ring with someone like a Shakur.
And it's actually funny, I looked up at the thing and I seen the tweet. I was about to start laughing, but I was like, you know what, I gotta stay focused.
Hey, at what point were you okay with this going 12 rounds and getting in that quality work in there, or were you continuing to go for the knockout in those championship rounds?
I say after he, you know, caught me, you know, with the knockdown, I was like, you know what, I want this fight to go the whole 12 rounds because, you know, I wanted to give the fans, you know, what they wanted to see, and, you know, showed out, I was fine. So I think after the knockdown, I was like, you know what, let's bang it out the whole fight. So.
Coach Shakur actually said you did a damn good job coaching tonight with some training. So what do you have to say to that?
I like Shakur. Shakur is one of the greatest boxers of this era. I always said that. He's one of my favorite fighters. And I would like to see, the thing with Floyd, and y'all will understand, is he adapts to the person and want to fight like the person. So I need somebody like Shakur, a Tank, so he could dig in his bag and have to pull that out, that level. And I want to see how that goes so I can see if I got to work on anything.
All respect.
But Shakur is one of the greatest, and that's why we want to fight him and Tank.
I like to hear that from the dad. That's good to hear. Just keep working with the kid. Don't. Just my opinion, and I could be wrong. And also, too, this is meant as constructive criticism. There's still a few things that they got to work on. They got to tighten up before they get to that level. And just keep working, man. Keep plugging away. Keep getting these fights. You know, go in there with the guy who's a little slick a little cute in there and see, that it's still a winnable fight and see what happens there. See how that style meshes with Floyd's style and vice versa. Put him in there with a bigger puncher that's still vulnerable, and let's see, how he does with that before getting into these fights.
With Shakur, is it a case of you guys just feel like his athleticism and explosiveness kind of overcomes Shakur seasoning, his experience? I think most people would
Big ups to Sean asking some very good questions there too.
still think he's more skilled, but he's coming up from 26. So is it that, Floyd's athleticism and explosiveness could overcome that gap in maybe skill and experience, or how do you see it?
I see it because I seen their sparring matches. So I see how he do with Shakur. It's very competitive because Shakur is like a counter puncher, and he's boring because he's a great boxer, defensive boxer. So he need a swarm of somebody like Kid that's gonna put the pressure on him to make the fight exciting. If Shakur keep getting boring fights, his brand gonna keep going down. He needs some Kid, Pitbull, Tank. He needs those aggressive fights.
Did you guys see the DM he leaked where I guess it was after the sparring and Kid was saying you're one of the best fighters I've seen.
At that time, I was 17 years old. And I had plenty of interviews saying that, I thought Shakur was my favorite fighter. Every tournament I went to as a kid, he would always take a picture of me. So after the sparring, it was nothing, weird saying, like, I think you're one of the GOATs. But that has nothing to do with wanting to fight now. I want your spot. So
Yeah, we want that belt.
that's like if when he was in camp with Tank, now he wants to fight Tank. It's the same thing.
Right.
What'd you grade yourself today from A to D, the old school report cards?
I know I'm gonna hear it.
See,
but
that was not the game plan.
I
That
know
was
I'm
not
gonna
the
hear
game
it,
plan.
but
Yeah, the fighter was very adamant in the corner, telling Floyd what to do and what not to do. So yeah, I could see as to why he scored it the way he's scoring it. Let's hear what Floyd has to say about that.
me personally, I give myself a B- because Rene was a tough fighter. You guys didn't fight Rene. It's very challenging to stand there with someone. You hit him with a 5-piece combination, and like it hurts your hands, and it doesn't hurt him. And it's like, man, what? So I give myself a B-. My first 12-round fight. I'm happy.
You won.
Senior, what advice were you giving him? At one stage, it looked like we were worried you're going to lose your voice there.
Yeah, I wanted him to use his jab and move the guy, keep him moving and fighting. The guy wanted to come in and wanted the aggressive stuff, and I was telling him, don't give the guy what you want. Box, keep him moving. He'll run into the shot that will knock him out. As long as he's braced up walking like this, nothing's gonna knock him out because he's braced waiting for the punch. So I'm trying to get him to move, but young fighters, when they get hit, they just want to and it's like.
That's funny. That's exactly what I mentioned earlier. Like that's what I thought was happening when I was watching. He's a young kid, man. Like adrenaline coming up. He wants to bang it out with this dude.
Calm down.
Yeah, after I got dropped, I was like, I want it back.
Emotions running.
Yes, but we already making a little bit of changes. I might as well make the announcement. Warren Guzman gonna be in camp with us.
It's a very good addition.
Coaches is one of the main coaches to get him on that level. So we are bringing the world champion coach.
I want to say this. Y'all think I'm playing? Rene busted my cup.
Oh, wow.
He busted my cup. He has some serious power.
He got power.
Last question.
Kid Option, Mr. RTB with the Spit Bucket Podcast. You was going to know an opponent who was 20-3, never been stopped. The resiliency that you were able to show in this fight, going to 12 rounds, having adversity, that shows a lot about you. What's your thoughts on your performance and the adversity you went through and how you were able to overcome it?
I really like my performance. And, I want to say to all the haters out there, I showed you I could box. Now, I just got kicked with a good shot on my ear. But besides that, I feel like I put on a boxing clinic when I did. But on to the next. I'm happy with my performance. My first 12-round fight, it's only going to get better from here.
He made it out safe.
Thank you, guys. Thanks,
Floyd.
Floyd. Thank you.
That was Floyd Schofield after his win over Rene Tellez Giron. Asked a question, the poll. Let's see how the poll's doing. If you feel at this point he is ready for the likes of Shakur and Tank and Devin Haney. 100 of you guys voted overwhelmingly. 73% says no. Wow, man. All right. Well, it is what it is. Big shout out to Gabby Fundora as well, becoming the youngest undisputed female champion with her win over the Argentinian fighter who knocked her down twice in that round to capture the undisputed titles. Man, Gabby's a mean fighter, and she gets so much leverage on these punches, man. She is a fun fighter to watch. She puts it all on the line. I love watching her fight because I know like she's an action-friendly fighter. So big ups to her. She is going to be a problem for many, many female fighters throughout the years. And just given her natural advantages, her height, her reach, her size, it's going to be tough for these ladies to compete with Gabby and be able to beat her. So going on to this weekend, we have a few fights going on. Just to remind you guys, on Friday, Keyshawn Davis makes his return to the ring with his brothers, headlining a card in Norfolk, Virginia. It's meant to be a showcase fight to push for what Keyshawn wants as a title fight on the IBF. I know I've been hearing talk of him wanting a fight with, doesn't matter with who, actually, if I'm quoting him, but he'd prefer it to be Vasily Lomachenko. We released an interview with him earlier today, speaking of why he won't ever fight his friend Shakur Stevenson, and he'll fight anybody else but Shakur Stevenson. You could check that out on the channel. It is live. And he goes in on a potential fight with Andy Cruz. He actually got quite animated about that Andy Cruz part, saying that, hey, he went on live with Eddie Hearn, asked for the fight. They've sent offers for the fight. They've heard nothing, that Andy Cruz has no fan base, and that any sort of fan base that he has is because of Keyshawn's name. So it's brewing there. It's already building. If you guys don't know, Keyshawn, silver medalist at the Tokyo Games, I believe, in 2020. Hey, what's up, Hank? Hurricane Hank. Hey, big ups to Hurricane Hank right here, man. He's been with us, with the channel for a long, long time, man. So big ups to Huracan Hank. But back with that, I feel like it's building up, this Keyshawn Andy Cruz. Andy Cruz was the guy that beat Keyshawn Davis for the gold medal at the Olympics, and where there's that funny viral clip of Snoop, and I believe what's his freaking name? Help me up, chat. What's the comedian's, the little guy, short guy? What's his name? Come on, chat, help me out. Not Chris Tucker. Who said Chris Tucker? Not Chris Tucker. Rock and I don't know. I forget his name. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank. Kevin Hart. There you go. Thanks, Ice. Appreciate it. I don't know why I was drawing a blank like that. That's strange. But yeah, the viral clip of Kevin Hart and Snoop just going in on on Keyshawn, who was dancing and celebrating like, yo, you just lost. Like, well, you can't be doing that. But yeah, I can't wait to see these guys square up and get in the ring with each other. There is a lot of speculation at this point of what's happening with ESPN and Top Rank. That Top Rank contract with ESPN is up. From what I've read, they're in negotiation process with many people right now. DAZN just picked up Queensberry to be on their platform. So it's Golden Boy, Matchroom, and Queensberry on one. If they're able to lock an American promoter, man, that's big. These fights now, because of Turki Al-Sheikh, are a lot easier to be made given the money, and he's approaching the fighters directly to make these fights. But if they can get DAZN, one of these American promoters, PBC or Top Rank, to show fights on their platforms, that's a win-win for fans, because it's a lot easier now to make these fights happen. There's no more network affiliations like there was. The big problem before, for many years, HBO, Showtime, these networks would not want to work with each other because they would sign fighters directly to the networks. And they're like, yo, we signed this guy. We invested in this guy. Why are we going to let him go to Showtime? Why are we going to let him go to HBO? And that was one of the biggest reasons why we didn't get fights, was the networks. The promoters will be like, oh, yeah, so-and-so's with so-and-so. We don't do business with them. The reason why they didn't do business with them is because they're on a rival network. And now we're seeing with these fights the last year, promoters putting their product, putting their pay-per-view on multiple networks. So on Friday, Keyshawn Davis takes on Tito Lemos on ESPN, ESPN Plus. And then the next day, this Saturday, I believe November 9th, I want to say. Yes, in Philadelphia, the return of Boots Ennis and Bam Rodriguez. Now, this Boots fight against Chukhadzhian, not the most wanted fight, or actually not the most wanted fight. We didn't want to see this, okay? This is purely because of the sanctioning body, the IBF, doing what they do. And what up from Virginia? Thank you. Appreciate, man. Yeah, you should. If you guys are in Virginia, man, you should definitely go out and support boxing and go out and pack the house over there in Virginia so that the promoters want to keep doing shows in these fighters' hometowns. Okay, with this Boots Ennis Chukhadzhian rematch, no one wanted this fight. I was there for the first fight. It was on the Boots the Tank versus Hector Garcia fight in Washington, D.C. Jaron Ennis completely washed this guy, won every single round. It was a boring fight. Chukhadzhian has a really awkward style, defensive. He moves a lot. He doesn't throw a lot. Yeah, man, I'm getting like PTSD like from that first fight coming into this rematch. But the IBF is the strictest of the sanctioning bodies in terms of enforcing their mandatories. And it goes both ways, okay? If you're someone that feels like, hey, man, you worked your way up to the rankings, once you get your number one spot, it should always be number one versus number two and down the line. You know, that's what sport is about. That's what all these other sports do. Thing is, you know, there's certain people that fight for sanctioning bodies that are ranked in certain sanctioning bodies and others that aren't. So, you know, a lot of guys get in these rankings that are nowhere near competitive with some of these people. And it gets to a point where, like, when a superstar holds that belt, they're put into these mandatories where, like, yo, I don't want to see this. Like, who's this guy? Like, where did this guy come from? Like, no, you know? So I see it both ways. I certainly understand that argument. And Hank feels that it's actually a good fight at Ennis to prove that he has improved since that fight. Left a lot of question marks for Ennis. Let me know, Hank, because I feel, you know, watching there, Chukhadzhian, there are just some fighters that you can't look good against because of their style, you know, regardless of how good you are. And I felt that Chukhadzhian in that first fight, I'm not going to go so far to say he was fighting to survive, but he was definitely just in there for 12 rounds. And I didn't ever feel at any point he had urgency to try to win the fight. He knew he was losing and he didn't do anything about it. I know Boots is going to want to put on a show for his people in Philadelphia, and wouldn't shock me if Karen you're crazy, Hank. For reals, are you trolling, dog? I hope you're not trolling, bro. He whitewashed him the first time. Look, Chukhadzhian, the last few fights he's had since that Jaron Ennis fight, okay? Michael Marcano, fighter from Spain, BoxRec has him ranked very low, okay? He got a win against him. Last two fights were in Germany. Pietro Rossetti, 18-1, but who has he fought? BoxRec doesn't have him ranked very highly, you know, and then Harry Scarf, 13-2. And then he goes to a Boots Ennis, you know? Nah, man, Karen's really good, man. He's been active since that Ennis fight. Yeah, but active against who, dog? Against, like, what level? Nowhere near the level of a Boots. Come on. All right, so we had a chance to speak to Boots. I'm going to go ahead and play the video. Obviously, you know, a lot of the questions surrounding Boots as us in the media is in regards to Terrence Crawford, and either he's unifying how long he's staying at 47 or when he's going to move up to 154 pounds. So let me go ahead. Oop, there he is.
At 140.
Go ahead and play this clips of this interview that we got with Boots Jaron Ennis. That's actually live now on the channel, but let's go ahead and check it out.
7 pounds all of next year, trying to make those unification fights happen. Yeah, that's my goal. You know, all I want is right now. All I want is the belts right now. So it's the belts, and if they playing around, who knows? Maybe we'll be at 54, maybe not. I don't know. We'll see.
You obviously have your eyes on the other division as well. Who do you think is the best 154 pounder in the world right now?
I don't know. I can't even answer that. I'm not even gonna lie.
Come on, bro. Yeah, you can. Come on.
It's certainly one of the hottest
Very political answer there.
divisions in the sport. Who's who?
But hey, you know what? There is a lot of, I don't know. I think by all accounts, people consider Terrence Crawford to be the best at 154 pounds. Got a lot of great fighters there in that division. You got that new fighter, Murtalazaev, that beat Tim Tszyu. You have Virgil there, Terrence, Madrimov, Bohachuk, Jermel, Spence, Fundora. Like, it's a cracking division at this point. And then if you add Boots in there, chef's kiss.
Of names in there, your the guys you were mandatories for: Terrence Crawford, Errol Spence, Fundora, Tim Tszyu, Jermel Charlo. The list goes on and on. We can continue. Madrimov. I mean, is there anyone that you think is number one in there, or you think it's still to be discussed?
I mean, they're weight popping right now. Everybody up there. I don't know. Hopefully, you might see me up there. So you never know. You never know.
Yeah, he's alluding to a move at 154. I think the plan when I spoke to Eddie Hearn is to unify, to try to get to undisputed, and then move up to 154 pounds.
No, but they all great fighters, all great guys. I feel like you can't really just pick one right now at the moment.
I saw you in Los Angeles. You were ringside scouting for Crawford Madrimov. You got a great reaction from the crowd when you were put on the jumbo screen there. What was your assessment of Crawford's performance in his 154-pound debut?
What's your ask again? I'm sorry, my bad.
Boots looks distracted. What's going on over there?
Oh, what was your assessment of Crawford's performance? Do you think he looked good at 154?
Oh yeah. All right. Yeah. Now next question.
Man, did someone run interference there off screen? What do you think, chat? It looked like somebody was looking at someone. He didn't want to talk about it. I don't know. Maybe he just didn't want to say anything. I don't know. That's saying, if you don't have anything good to say, don't say it at all.
Gotcha. Do you think?
That's a tough one. I don't know how I would have responded. This was done by our Manuk Akopian, this interview. I don't know if he did that, and if I was interviewing him, I would have asked why the pause. But it's tough sometimes too. Like those types of responses kind of throw you off at times. And here's the other thing too, man. When we get these interviews via Zoom, we have time limits, man. Like, we have people telling us, hey, only 2 more questions, only 3 more questions, only 2 more minutes, 3 more minutes. And you're like, well, I want to get through as many questions, many topics as I can. And some of these things, you just got to, cut your loss, like just drop it, and move on to the next for the sake of getting to the next topic.
The fight with Crawford would happen eventually?
Interference on the play, says Ice.
I don't know. Next question.
Next question.
Well, you've chased him for quite a few years. It's obvious he has some.
I've been chasing everybody. I've been chasing Bud. I've been chasing Errol Spence, Keith Thurman, Sean. I've been chasing all these guys. You gotta ask Crawford. Ask him.
With this fight, this is your second time in a row fighting at the Wells Fargo Center. You battered David Avanesian in the 5th round in July. Easy night in the office for you. What was the entire event like for you? Just being a part of that atmosphere, sold out arena, you getting your flowers in your hometown return. What was that?
Kind of a reset question, a fluff question to kind of get Jaron back to open up a little bit more.
my fun. That's what I need to do. To have my fun. And once I have my fun and not look for a knockout, that's when it's gonna come. And so once I have my fun and be myself, and everything gonna fall right into place.
He's going to have to allow you to have fun because he was just running around in that first fight, didn't really engage.
Thank you. Yeah, this guy was so defensive that first fight. Like, I'm not sure how that, like, Hank, as you were saying, you feel, don't be, I don't know if you're trolling, bro. I think you're trolling, dog, because Boots did not look whatsoever in danger in that first fight. If anything, maybe there is going to be a little bit more pressure on Boots, given this guy's style, how defensive he is. He's an awkward guy. You know who he reminds me of? He reminds me of Artem a little bit. The guy that fought Frank Martin and Shakur Stevenson, Artem Haratuian, I believe, where he's awkward, man. The timing of these punches, he's can be a little evasive if you want to. It's tough to get your distance and your timing on your punches against those guys. But yeah, there might be pressure given. Trust me, bro. Like, that first fight was boring as hell. Okay. He might have to be a little bit more over aggressive. He was getting outpointed, flat footed, and couldn't cut the ring off. That I do remember, the cutting the ring off part. So that's what I think he's going to mention here in this interview, that there is improvements that he wants to do on the first fight. And I do remember that in the post-fight press conference, us questioning him about and him getting a lot of tweets from people online after his fight as to why he couldn't cut the ring off against Chukhadzhian.
He didn't really engage with you. But does he do anything at all that concerns you?
No, he don't do nothing that concern me. It was more myself, on fight night when I fought him. It was just me not doing what I was supposed to be doing. And it's me looking for the knockout instead of me having my fun and letting it come to me. So it was never him. It was always me. It was what I needed to do.
It's very interesting also because they really wanted this fight. They pushed for it. They even won the purse bid. You're going to make your $1 million+ regardless. But how close were you to actually vacating the title and moving up to 154?
Very good question.
It wasn't a thought in my mind. I was just staying in the gym, staying focused, and doing what I need to do, to get better. I wasn't really worried about what was going on outside. I let my team handle all that.
So unification is his goal. We're seeing Mario Barrios fighting Abel Ramos in this Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson fight. Stanionis is another one of the champions as well. So given that response, I would assume, though, we could all assume incorrectly, but I would assume, given that and what Eddie has told me in the past, that they're looking for unifications.
You moving forward with Chukhadzhian kind of makes your plans a little bit clearer, right? That you want to stay at 147, unify titles. You had the opportunity with Brian Norman, but his side made things a little difficult with the purse demands they were making. And now he's injured and on the sidelines, which is unfortunate for him. What do you make of that entire negotiations and how things went? Do you think he was ducking you?
I was doing everything in my power and my ability to, make the fight happen. While he was going around doing all lives and Instagram and doing videos and all that stuff, I was in the background, with my team trying to make the fight happen. I did what I could. I did what I could, and that was out of my control. So be it.
You're with Eddie Hearn now in Matchroom Boxing. You had your first fight with them in July. What are the promises Eddie Hearn is making for you moving forward? What does the future for Jaron Ennis look like?
Just staying busy, and collecting the rest of these belts, in 2025, not looking past Karen Chukhadzhian on November 9th, after I do my thing and win and be victorious in a spectacular fashion, just the belts, belts and then staying busy, not sitting out, sitting out for too long, like keeping my mind sharp.
for fans who want to get excited about this fight against Chukhadzhian, the rematch, what are you promising them?
Just make sure y'all tune in. Don't miss me. Put on a beautiful show. Beating them up, breaking them down. And having my fun. And getting a knockout at the end of the night. Just don't miss. Make sure y'all tune in. Yeah, don't tune in. Buy a ticket. Make sure y'all there. It's gonna be fireworks. We got a crazy undercard. We got Bam on there. Got two of my fighters on there. Ishmael, the Chef, Muhammad, and then you got Dennis, the Quiet Storm Thompson. It's the card crazy. The whole card crazy. You got Ray Savage on there, Ray Ford. It's gonna be the whole card gonna be great. So make sure y'all tune in and don't miss. Miss this firework card.
Also Ernesto Tito Mercado, who just signed with Matchroom as well too. He's coming through the ranks. Do you think this card is going to be the next generation of boxing? Is this the night where everyone could come together and kind of see the new class with you taking the wheel?
I think Boots has done too many interviews on that day. He looks a little antsy, like he wants to get out of there. What the heck? Yo, what up? What up? Hot Boxing Minute. Big shout out there, man, to my man over here. The other champions at 147 want no parts of Boots. It's a damn shame. I disagree with you, bro. I think just as you know, it's networks, bro. I think Barrios would have no problem fighting Boots for the right deal. Especially Stanionis. I think Stanionis would take that fight in a heartbeat. But you let me know, bro. Respond.
Most definitely. It's like this card is crazy from top to bottom. It's a lot of up and coming fighters, prospects, contenders. You got Bam pound for pound. One of the pound for pound, greats on the card as well. It's gonna be phenomenal. I can't wait. I'm ready. I'm excited.
You're obviously in the glamour division as a welterweight. The smaller guys don't necessarily get the love all the time. How does it feel for you to put on someone like Bam as well too? He's obviously been a headliner, but to tag team with you on this card, it feels like two of the next kings of the pound for pound discussions are going to be fighting on the same night.
Yeah, no, I think it's I ain't gonna lie, I think it's great. I think it's great for boxing to have when you have two top guys or three or four top guys on the same card. I feel like that's phenomenal. And us two together, gonna make a powerful night come November 9th. And I think it's great. And I'm gonna be able to steal some of his fans. He's gonna be able to steal some of mine. We're gonna have a good time. We're gonna put on a show for you guys.
So that happens on November 9th. Jaron Ennis returning to the ring in Philadelphia with Bam Rodriguez on the undercard. That was some snippets from our interview with Jaron Ennis. The full interview is on the channel. Go ahead and check it out after this live. Hey, chat, go ahead and throw some likes up there. Let's get those likes up. Go ahead and give me and the channel a follow at Fight Up TV on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Hot Boxing Minute. He knows TikTok. He knows what's up with that. He knows how to build it out. Actually need some tips from this guy on how to build that out on the TikTok side. But give me a follow as well at Hey It's Marcos V on Twitter and on Instagram. So I get invited to Cool Ish, and it's easier to get these interviews. You would think with close to 2 million subs, it'd be a little bit easier to get some of these interviews. It's still a big hustle on my end. As Jaron Ennis mentioned, also on the card is Jesse Bam Rodriguez, the phenom, the Wonder Kid of the lightweight divisions. In my opinion, already a Hall of Famer at this point in his career with what he's done. And there's going to be a lot of Bam for a lot of time. And he did an interview with us that we will release. I'll go ahead and preview it for you guys. I'll put some of it on where Bam talks about fighting Ramon Gonzalez. And more interestingly, Bam speaks about fighting Inoue, which I was surprised to hear. I didn't start seeing this Inoue type stuff until the last 2 days where I started searching some things with Bam, and I saw headlines coming out from him about a potential fight with Inoue. But let's go ahead.
You have to talk about
and
it
bring
because
bring up Bam right here, and let's listen to a little bit of our interview with Bam that we haven't released yet. So you guys are the first ones to see this before it's released to the public.
Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez, you've sparred 24 rounds with him over the last year.
Side note, I'm supposed to speak to Robert Garcia in about an hour and a half. That won't. I want it to be live, honestly, but I'm a little worried that it won't get much attention today, given that we have a very contentious election happening, and the attention of not only the world but a lot of us are towards the election. So I don't know if I'm going to do it live. I think I might just bank it and then premiere it tomorrow. But let's go ahead and listen to the young Jesse Bam Rodriguez right here.
If the number is correct, please correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was 24 rounds that you last said. Oh, what has that been like? Because I know there could be an opportunity that he might even be a potential opponent now.
Yeah, I mean, that sparring was amazing. Anyone that watched that sparring can tell you the same. It was back and forth.
Bro, I hope they spar again. I'm gonna hit up Robert. I want to see that sparring, dude. Like, it kills me because Robert's gym, maybe about like 45 minutes to an hour away from where I live, but to have just been there to watch that in the gym, oh my God. Honestly, they could have probably charged, live streamed it, put it on a small pay-per-view, and a ton of people would have tuned in and paid money to watch those two spar.
8 rounds. We sparred 3 times, 8 rounds each. So each sparring session was it was fireworks.
Would you say that the sparring was harder than some of the fights you've had?
Oh yeah, for sure, without a doubt. Yeah.
Oh damn.
I know you respect Chocolatito. You guys come from the same promotional group as far as Tekken goes, but there's some conversations now that he might be an opponent. How serious is the possibility that you might fight Chocolatito?
I mean, it can't happen if I don't get the unification.
Hell yeah. They've changed the tone. They've changed the language. Now they're open to that fight, as opposed to maybe 6 months ago where Mr. Honda did not want that fight with Roman and Bam.
Fights, that's what my coach Robert said. If those fights don't come, then a Chocolatito fight would, interest a lot of fight fans.
Yeah,
definitely. What weight would that be at, you think?
Probably 115, just because I have the belt at 115, so there's really no reason to fight at 118 for no belt.
Mm-hmm. Are you? Is that something that a fight you would look forward to, or just the numbers would have to make sense and a lot of terms would have to be right for you to take it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it has to make sense. If it's not a title fight or the numbers aren't right, there's really no point. But most importantly, if it's not for a title, then I really don't see no point in it.
Did you ever imagine you would fight him though? Because we've had this conversation quite a few times throughout the years. You've kind of said no, and we moved on. But now it's a real thing that could happen. How did it come to this?
I really don't know. I know his last fight. I think during fight week he mentioned fighting me. He would like to fight me. So, I mean, feelings mutual. I would love to go in there and share the ring with a legend.
Yeah, and I'd love for you to go and fight Roman. He's the last guy, man. He's the last king of that division that it's left for Bam. Dude, if Bam goes and he beats Roman, he's cleaned out all the legends. Like I just said, I feel he's already has a Hall of Fame career, but if he does that, that's without a shadow of a freaking doubt. No brainer Hall of Famer.
How does that fight go? How does it play out?
I mean, it's one of those fights you have to wait and see.
Is that bookmarked for fight of the year on paper before it even happens?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, I believe so.
You obviously are making a case for fighter of the year as well too.
Yeah, how do you guys feel about that? Who at this point do you feel is fighter of the year, chat? Let me know. Off the top of my head, I know Usyk is going to be on the list, just given the manner of how he beat Fury, him being the smaller guy, him being down in the fight, him always almost knocking out Fury. That's one that immediately comes to mind that will be on the list. But who else should be on the list? Let me know, chat.
Specifically, though, for this one, you're taking the co-main event slot. You've been headlining your own events for.
Yeah, I'm seeing Usyk or Inoue. Definitely Inoue should be on there. That's a good one. Ice. Hot Boxing Minute, what up, bro? Angelo Leo. Yeah, big upset there. No one was expecting him to get that knockout. But I feel in the case of Usyk or Leo, because Usyk is a bigger name, he'll get more attention, more recognition for that feat as opposed to Leo. Opataya, I'm seeing as well. Let's continue on with Bam, because he's going to start mentioning the part about wanting a fight potentially with Inoue.
The last 2 years, why were you open to taking the co-main on this one?
I mean, it's really just to get the fight, fight one more time at the end of the year, before the end of the year. I mean, just sharing the card with Boots as well, it's an honor. I saw the outcome he had his last fight, so to be a part of an event that big, it's a good opportunity for me as well to expose my career to another side of the boxing world.
Personally, I love it. I think it's the next generation of boxing that night. You're going to have you and Boots, the flag bearers, the future pound for pound stars. You have guys like Ray Ford and Tito Mercado who are on the up and up, coming up. So it's really like the next generation, the next faces of boxing on November 9. And from what I understand, this Chocolatito fight could be February 22 in Saudi Arabia, again, as Boots fights Virgil Ortiz, your stablemate. Is that what you're hearing as well, too?
Whoa. Have you guys heard of this rumor? Boots and Virgil? This is the first I'm hearing of it. Let me make a note of this because I'm going to ask Robert about this. Chat, have you heard about people saying this? Boots versus Virgil in February? What? Huh?
Yeah, I think that was fake news, though, to be honest.
Fake news. You guys are dumb. Always putting out the fake news.
I saw a report out there that the fight could happen. Do you have any other?
Wait, he's saying fake news about his fight, but I don't know about Virgil and Giron. Yo, chat, let me know. Like, someone do a Google search. If you're still on here, Jay, do a Google search. Is there any merit to this Virgil? Who's reported this? Virgil versus Boots, February 22nd? This is the first I'm hearing of this.
Information that you might want to clarify with?
No, I don't know. I don't know anything about that. The only thing I saw was what you saw on Twitter. So what you know, I know.
And he just said it was fake news.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. There was no fake news about this one. Turki Al-Sheikh recently met with Naoya Inoue. If an Inoue fight was offered to you next at 122 pounds, would you take it?
I mean, that's something we got to discuss with the team. You know, it's a risky fight to take just because I'm moving up 2 weight classes against a natural 122 pounder. So, I mean, we would have to talk about that.
Yeah, man, that's him moving up 2 weight classes. I'd like to see Inoue and Bam side by side to see how they are physique wise. I would think because Inoue's been moving up in the divisions that he's grown into these divisions as opposed to Bam. I want to see like how dense their skeletal structure is, how dense Inoue's bones are compared to Bam's. You know, Inoue has the freaking just godsend type power, but Jesse's so damn good. And Ice is mentioning Inoue's moving up soon as well, isn't he? I think he has the Sam Goodman fight on Christmas Eve in Japan, and then I'm not sure what he's doing after that. To be honest, I just got sent by Jay this Boots versus Virgil stuff. I believe this is just a rumor. I don't know where they're getting this reporting from. Jaron Boots Ennis versus Virgil Ortiz on February 22nd. I'd have to reach out to Rick Maragarian to kind of get clarification on this. Coach Robert Garcia told Boxing Scene that his fighter Virgil Ortiz Jr. could face Ennis on February 22nd. Also mentioned was WBC flyweight champion Jesse Bam Rodriguez fighting Chocolatito. Okay, but Bam just said that was fake news, or they're negotiating. It's either one or the two when that type of stuff is spoken about. All right, let's continue with this, Bam.
That's another legend that you would want to fight, though, in the future. Is Inoue, you think, a fight that could happen?
Yeah, of course. Down the line, I've said it plenty of interviews. It's just a matter of time before it does happen.
It's just a matter of time.
Take us through kind of what the
Oof. That's a super fight in Japan, even though someone mentioned, like, why not Bam fight Nakatani first before fighting someone like Inoue?
ideal next 2 years look like for you? You're at 115 pounds right now. How soon do you want to move across the divisions?
At 115, I want to try my best to go undisputed. Like I said, I said earlier in a past interview that the IBF was just vacated, so it might be a little harder to go undisputed now. But I mean, I want to accomplish what I can at 115 and go from there. I'm not really want to look too far into the future just because I have fights now that I need to focus on. So as far as my next 2 fights, I want to accomplish what I can at 115.
You have a lot of motivation inside the ring with boxing, with all the fights that could be presented to you. Outside of boxing, you're a father, first-time dad to a daughter. How has that been?
It's amazing having my daughter. Just having her around. It's a huge blessing. She's changed my life, changed my motivation. It's at a whole different level now.
How you have her with you?
Man, Bam's just such a good guy. In general, man, he's not nice guy as well. You know what? Actually, when I look at it, I don't see his tattoos. Doesn't he have tattoos on his face on that side? Not sure, but that is part of our interview that we did with Bam Rodriguez. It'll be released more than likely tomorrow, but you guys getting a small preview of it. Ice telling me, Marcos, brother, I was saying the same. Nakatani versus Bam is fireworks. Yeah, that's a amazing fight. So is Bam versus Inoue. So is Bam versus Roman Chocolate Tito Gonzalez. But Bam and Boots Ennis in action this weekend, November 9th. And then after that, fight fans, Fight Hub fam, Fight Hub chat, dude, we're coming up on this Jake Paul Mike Tyson fight, man. Fight week starts on Monday. The fight is on a Friday, actually, November 15th, and then the next night after is the Golden Boy Latino night with Zurdo versus Chris Billum Smith, and then John Jones is taking on Stipe Miocic as well. Man, that's a busy weekend for fights, man. I'll be there on the ground in Dallas for that Jake Paul Mike Tyson fight. So if you guys are from Dallas, see me, say what's up, say hello to me and the rest of the team. All right, you guys, with that being said, man, I got to prep for this interview that I'm going to do with Robert. I also got to go and vote as well. I'm glad we had a chance to chat, to see some of the content that's coming up. We got more content coming your way this week. We're very, very close to getting 2 million subs, man. So just please keep rocking with us. Spread the word of the channel. Tell your other boxing friends, boxing fam that aren't subscribed, that don't know of the channel. Let them know about us. Tell them to go ahead and subscribe as well to the channel so we can go ahead and hit that milestone. So appreciate this time chatting with you guys. We will be back next week to preview this Mike Tyson fight. I might have to do it from Dallas. Also, I'm open to suggestions from you guys. You know, there's a Japanese saying. Well, the main Japanese saying is Goku, but Goku's an alien, and Goku kind of mirrors the story of Superman in a way, to be honest. You know, they're both aliens crashed on a spaceship on Earth and are just unlimitedly strong, even though Goku doesn't shoot laser beams from his eyeballs. Though I think Goku is a greater hero than Superman. Goku's the greatest freaking hero ever made in comic fandom is Goku. Even though I got a special soft spot for Gohan, especially Teen Gohan in that Cell games, that Cell saga. But there is a Japanese saying here. Let me see if I could find it. But the gist of it is, look for improvements in yourself, little minute improvements day by day, 1% improvements, and then build up on that. I screenshotted it. I'm gonna pull up my screenshots. Let's see, I'll share it with you guys. I want to say it's Kaizen, but hold on a second. It's Kaizen. There we go. Kaizen. I knew I remembered it. Kaizen. All right, but hey, I'm gonna drop some knowledge for you guys. 7 Japanese techniques to overcome laziness. All right, you guys ready? It's free knowledge here. I found this on I believe it was TikTok, but I'm one to I'm always trying to improve, man, always. So there's a thing called ikagi. Ikagi means having a purpose in life, the reason you wake up each morning. 4 rules to ikagai. Ikagai. Do what you love, do what you're good at, do what the world needs, do what you can be paid for. And now here's this. This, I think, to me, applied the most. This other second rule, where I'm telling you guys that I'm open to constructive criticism. How can we make this live chat 1% better? How can it be better for next Monday? So let me know. Leave a comment when this live ends. Leave a comment on the comment section with some feedback. But Kaizen means focusing on small improvements every day, trying to become 1% better every day. It's like the snowball effect. You know, it's a little snowflake turns into a snowball, turns into a bigger snowball, and ends as an avalanche. There's a number 5 one. Stop regretting past decisions. You made the best choice at the time with the knowledge you had. Be at peace with it. Oh wow, that's a deep one. Success comes down to a simple choice. Decide exactly what you want. Determine the price you have to pay. Choose if you're willing to pay for it. Oof. That's another one, man. Choose if you're willing to pay for it. Choose if you're willing to sacrifice, you're willing to shut everybody out in order to achieve that goal. You know, I could relate to that one because I remember when I founded this channel, I had to really block out a lot of external things for me to be focused, to be obsessed with making this work, because this is all I had. You know, at the time I founded the channel back in 2009, it was in the middle of the recession. I had been laid off. I was just doing gig work, nothing consistent. And I was like, I have to be obsessed with this so that it's successful, because that's the only way I'm going to make this work. And yeah, you know, I stopped going out as much. I stopped hanging out with some of my friends that were just telling me, that the friends that didn't support what I was doing or would make fun of me, or would make, you know, these little petty comments towards me that I was wasting my time. What are you doing? Oh, you know, Marcos is in his room just doing, you know, dumb stuff on YouTube, and you know, but I knew, you know, in order for me to achieve what I wanted to achieve, I needed to stop doing these things that were taken away from my focus. And you know, obviously it did affect, you know, my relationships with some of those people, you know, friendships, distance with those people. The relationship that I was in was severely affected because of how much time I was putting into this for it to work. And you guys might not know this, but I didn't make a single dime on YouTube, on Fight Hub, for like 6 years. I did this for free, no money, for 6 years. I went from gig to gig to gig, bro. I was a UPS driver assistant. You know, I got my first day of work, I got paired up with a female bodybuilder. It was I'll tell you the story another time, because I got to go and start prepping for Robert. But I've had so many odd jobs that I did because I wanted this to work. So you got to be willing to pay the price, be willing to do the sacrifice to make whatever your dream is come to fruition. All right, you guys, with that being said, I appreciate the time. As always, shared with me and everyone here on the chat. One final round of likes. Appreciate it as always, guys. It's a good live chat, man. Very good. I felt like my thoughts were more scatterbrained a little bit, man. I think I have undiagnosed ADHD. It's gotten a lot better the older I've gotten. I have to write down my thoughts, or I'm just scattered all over the place. But happy November 5th. Happy voting day. If you guys are registered, go ahead and vote. And let's see what happens, man. Oh, America. It's going to be a roller coaster of a night. Peace out, guys. Appreciate it. Make it a great week. See you guys later.